Overs and unders?
Overs and unders. Let's do this.
Pac-12?
We're going to stay in the Pac-12. It's Pac-12 heavy right now. I get it.
Who's going first?
I'll go first.
2 overs.
Pretty basic. Utah over 8.5.
Okay.
I feel like that's stealing. I feel like it's stealing.
All right, so they're winning 9 games.
Okay. At least 9.
Okay.
At least 9. I mean, at the end of the day, David, at the end of the day, I think they could mess up and still go 9-3. Let's say you lose those games on the road. You lose to Washington. Mm-hmm. You lose to USC. Mm-hmm. It even gives you a buffer game at home to maybe lose to Oregon to get to 9. I don't think they're losing in the non-conference.
Okay,
Baylor
so
doesn't scare me like they scare everybody else.
Okay, so Florida, obviously week 1 they get at home.
They may kill
Florida.
them.
You think they're beating Baylor on the road?
I think they're beating Baylor on the road.
Okay.
That's where that experience comes in. So it gives you that buffer. Saying you're going to, now you got to take care of business at Oregon State, right? You got to win the ones that you should win, and they've done a good job of that out there in Utah. But, I mean, I think the over 8.5 right now, man, I'd get it while the getting's good. Mm-hmm. I would get it while the getting's good. Then my second one, I like Arizona over 5.5. Jed Fish, man, I think he's one of the most underrated coaches in the country. They got the Jake DeLora kid to transfer in from Washington State. I think they're going to go at least 6-6 and make a bowl game. It was a rebuild process at Arizona. It's a rebuild process for Dillingham out there at Arizona State. But I like the direction that Arizona's going because Coach Fish gets the most out of his guys. I like what they've done a little bit in the portal. I like what they return. So those are my 2 overs. Who you got, Blaine?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, for my overs, obviously I'm going to take USC.
Yeah.
I think they're going to.
They're at 9.5.
9.5. I think they're going to win 10 games at least, in my opinion. Okay. The hook is kind of scary in that. Just the defense is automatically better with the portal guys they've already gotten. I believe in Caleb Williams, especially get over 9.5 the Pac-12. And my other over was Arizona. I mean, just the improvement you've seen in 1 year. Is it likely they're going to get 4 more wins like they did the year before? No. But I do believe they'll win more than 5.5 games. Just with the new coaching staff, just the new culture they have built there, I believe in that. Are we going straight to unders or are we just doing overs right
now?
No,
let's go. I want to see this USC first. I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to think they start 6-0.
No, not at all.
Then you go on the road to Notre Dame, which that one is going to be a blast. So if you think if USC drops 2 games, which ones would they be?
I think it'd obviously be on the road at Notre Dame. And I think they would lose at Oregon.
Okay, so they beat Washington at home and Utah at home and UCLA?
I think so. Yeah.
So who was your second one?
My second was Arizona as well.
Yeah.
Just going over?
Yeah. Just the improvement they've shown in 1 year. And that roster didn't get worse. And they brought back most of their players, especially most of their offensive weapons. So I believe they'll win. I think they're going to have a 7-8 game win season.
I don't think that's crazy at all. I absolutely don't think that's crazy. That's why I picked it.
Well, I'm going to take Washington to start. I'm going to take Washington over 9. Now, they don't have a hook on theirs. And that's one of the reasons that even if Washington goes 9-3, you would push.
Yeah.
Right? But here's why I think they could get to 10-2. First of all, in the non-conference there with Boise State, Tulsa, and Michigan State.
Okay.
And then in conference there, you start with Cal and Arizona. It really is not out of the question that they could start 5-0. I know, Boise State's always going to have a good football team, but the Michigan State piece, it doesn't worry me as much as it would have in years past, just because Mel Tucker has been hemorrhaging players in the transfer portal now. We've seen the starting quarterback league.
I think he's in trouble, David.
I don't know what's going on at Michigan State, and it wouldn't surprise me if Michigan State fields a really tough-nosed football team and beats Washington at home. It's not going to surprise me. I'm just looking at the way things have been going there. And then you get Oregon at home, right? Arizona State at home. You go to Stanford. Let's see how good they are. Southern Cal on the road is going to be interesting for Washington. And then you get Utah at home and then Oregon State on the road. So Southern Cal away, Utah home, Oregon State away is a tough 3-game stretch for Washington towards the end of the year there. But like we talked about, Michael Penix Jr. coming back, I'm expecting big things from Washington. Even if they go 9-3 on that, you would push on the bet.
Shout out Nicky Sheridan.
Shout out Nicky Sheridan is going to come on the show soon. Talked to him yesterday. Also, Stanford and Colorado over 3.
Ooh, you like both.
Okay, here's why I like both. Neither have a hook there. Right, so again, I'm saying they would have to get to 4 for you to hit, but 3 gets you at least a push, and I just have a hard time believing Stanford can't win 3 football games.
Bad.
I mean, Stanford here, let's take a look 1 second. All right, Hawaii to start.
Gotta win.
You gotta go beat Hawaii. If you're Stanford, I don't care who's coaching or who's playing quarterback. You gotta figure a way to beat Hawaii. And then week 3, obviously you go to USC week 2, but Sacramento State week 3. I have to think those are 2 wins right there automatically for Stanford. You have Arizona on the schedule. I know you guys really like Arizona. You go to Colorado. which let's see what Deion Sanders is doing. That's going to bring me to my next one after that. And then Cal is also on the schedule. Yeah. So if you win 3 games,
I don't think
that's
it's a
push.
Bet.
Let's see what happens. And then on the Colorado front, I know a lot of players have been leaving Colorado, but Deion Sanders is trying to set the tone there. Again, 3 wins. I think Deion Sanders can get to 3 wins, and 4 would get you the win there.
Who they beating?
The problem is TCU and Nebraska back to back. I think they could beat Colorado State is week 3. You got Arizona State on the schedule. I think they could beat Arizona State. You got Stanford at home. Maybe let's see if that's a win. And then, like you guys said, let's see how good Arizona is going to be. You get Arizona at home.
Man, if you talk about a springboard game either way, Deion Sanders versus Matt Rule early, winner, you can get off the launch pad, gives you a lot of momentum. Loser, and you got to look when it's played early in the schedule. So look, taking Colorado and Stanford, at 3, I do think it's a smart bet.
I wouldn't take either one at 3.5. If you add in the hook.
I agree with that.
Get a safety buffer there, and then Stanford wins 4 football games. That's a bad season by Stanford terms, but you would hit your bet.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're crazy at all. I do want to say these overrunners are on DraftKings. Make sure you go over there, find them, and sign up with code BOOSTER as well. Now to unders. All right, I love Jonathan Smith. I think what he's doing at Oregon State does not get talked about enough. I just don't believe in DJU. I just don't. I'm sorry. And I know some of the skill players they had at Clemson weren't like the ones they used to have, but I just don't trust them. Now, I think it's going to be heavy run. I think that's what you're going to see from Oregon State, run to pass, even though Jonathan Smith's a quarterback. But I got them under 8. I feel like they're not a 9-win team, personnel-wise. And one of y'all, if y'all don't mind bringing up the schedule so we can tell everybody. But I feel like it's a 7-5 year, which, you know what? Isn't a disaster with the way Oregon State's come back. I know there's a lot of expectations now, but it is a little bit of a different team for Oregon State, even though, again, I want to say, I hope I'm wrong on this because I'm rooting for Jonathan Smith. And Oregon State may have the best color combination in college football, if we're going to be honest. Those uniforms are absolutely dope. But can you run through the schedule real quick, Blaine?
Yeah, so week 1, you go to San Jose State.
Should be a win, even though San Jose State can be tough. They always got a couple guys.
Week 2 is a win. Week 3, this is they're out of conference. You got San Diego State at home.
Never
Not
easy.
a walk in the park.
Not with the defense they run.
All right, you go to Washington State. All right, then you have Utah at home.
Tough.
Go to Cal. UCLA at home.
That one.
To Arizona. To Colorado. Stanford at home. Washington at home. And you go to Oregon.
Well, there's a reason it's inflated. It's because, you're not playing USC. You don't have all the big dogs. The games that you're going to have to steal one or two on the road to be able to get over 8, in my opinion. Now, a lot of it's going to come down to, and the reason I picked the unders is because I think the bottom of the conference is going to rise up except for Cal, and I'm going to get to that in a second, even though Justin Wilcox, I think, is going to figure it out. But I feel like if it was last year's Arizona, if it was last year's Colorado, if it was somewhat of last year's Stanford, even though they got to replace Tanner McKee, good luck with that. This would be an over that I would take. But I feel like DJU, I just don't trust him. I'm sorry, I can't get past it.
Why would you?
Like, I can't get past it.
There's no reason to trust him.
And it's not like there's not a lot of sample size in it.
Yeah.
So again, I hope I'm wrong on that because I absolutely love what Jonathan Smith's done. And then my second under, I got Cal under 4.5 wins. Mm-hmm. And I feel very confident in this one. I know they've made a few additions in the portal, but you look at the non-conference. You got to play Auburn at home. You look at the in-conference schedule. Not exactly a walk in the park. I can't find 5 wins. I can't find them.
Okay.
I can't find them.
Week 1, you go to North Texas.
And that's not, I'm telling you right now.
Play now.
Like, just remember, that North Texas team, I know they lost a couple guys, a couple to Auburn, actually, including Shorter, the wide receiver, that linebacker as well. But North Texas, they've recruited some guys that can play with Cal. They can run with Cal.
Then you got Auburn at home.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then you got Idaho at home.
You'll win that one.
You go to Washington.
Loss.
Arizona State at home. That'll be a game.
That'll be a game.
Oregon State at home.
That'll be a game.
Go to Utah.
Loss.
USC at home.
Loss.
Go to Oregon.
Loss.
Washington State at home.
It's going to be a game.
And you go to UCLA.
I mean, you can look and try and manipulate your way to find 5. I'm not seeing 5. Especially you lose in North Texas, you're not winning 5. It'll tank. That season will tank. And they basically have a bye week in their second non-conference game. But then you get Auburn at home. I'm just telling you, man, it smells like 4-8, maybe 3-9. And if that happens, I think Justin's in trouble. Even though Cal, I mean, do they really care that much? Maybe.
Maybe we'll see. Mine,
2 unders.
taking UCLA under 8.5. There's a couple of reasons here. One, you lose your starting quarterback, you lose DTR, and you lose Charbonnet, your starting running back, who both, I don't know. I think Charbonnet is obviously good enough to play in the league. I don't know what DTR and feel ever. He kind of reminds me of a worse Kellen Mond.
He reminds me of a worse RG3.
Okay, or a worse RG3. But, you know, you kind of look at the schedule. I mean, you got your 5 road contests. You go to Utah. You got Oregon State, Stanford, Arizona, and USC. And your non-conference matchup. I mean, first of all, you got, I don't know why everyone's scheduling San Diego State.
Or Coastal.
But you got Coastal.
Well, they're getting used to it. San Diego State's ass may be in the Pac-12 for long.
So you got Coastal week 1. You go to San Diego State the next week. You're going to win week 3. Then you go to Utah. All right, you got Washington State at home. You go to Oregon State. All right, you go to Stanford, which would be a win. You have Colorado at home. You go to Arizona State at home, USC on the road, and you finish with Cal.
What is the over-under at 7.5?
8.5.
Oh, that's a good under.
8.5.
That's a good
So
under. And I like Chip. I know
I think
everybody,
Chip does a great job, but I don't think their
greatest
defense is
season
going to be
Some guys I don't.
You lost your 2 best players on offense.
Yeah.
And I know you have that five-star quarterback with Dante Moore.
Yeah, look, UCLA is going to stay with the quarterback, but he's unproven.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's a good under. I'm going to take the Arizona State under 5. Because I just feel like, I mean, I like Coach Dillingham and what he's doing with the program, just the roster overhaul.
He's so green, man.
That they're going to have to pull off this year. I think you give them a couple more years, we'll have Arizona State where they need to be. But I just think there's so many moving parts when it comes to this, and their schedule doesn't favor that much either. I mean, they're projected to face 5 of the top 6 teams in the country.
I'm a little bit on the fence about Dillingham. I don't know. And with new guys, you never know, especially young guys. That's the way that coaching has moved. But
that's where about
he didn't call plays a lot, like in his. I'm just telling you, a lot of times he's been around. He's still a young guy, but he's been around. He hadn't been the play caller a lot. Now
the depth worries me.
Yeah, well, that's something that's going to take time to fix. It's like fixing an economy. You don't just flip a switch and now the economy's better. But man, I'm with you. I like your
week 1. You're always going to win week 1. I don't even know what team that is you're playing.
FCS Southeast.
No, SUU.
Oh, Southern Utah. I'm telling you.
Okay.
We lost.
You got Oak State week 2.
Good luck.
Good luck. Then you got Fresno State.
Good luck.
Week 3. Then you have USC week 4. Then you go to Cal. All right, you have Colorado at home. You go to Washington. All right, then you have Washington State at home. You go to Utah, to UCLA. Then you got Oregon. Then you finish with Arizona.
It's going to take time to rebuild what's
Yeah,
going on.
absolutely.
And
It's
he's
the
got
roster
time.
overall.
They're going to give him time.
He deserves time, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm going under for 2 of the more exciting teams from last season, and one of them I agree with Blaine on UCLA. I mean, it's a combination of 3 things here. One, the 8.5 for UCLA is a high line, so you've got to go 9-3. The second part of it is what you lost, DTR at quarterback, but also Zach Charbonnet, now a Seattle Seahawk. And then 3, like you said, Blaine, you're right on this, is the schedule. I mean, Coastal Carolina and San Diego State back-to-back.
Who the hell scheduled
I mean,
that?
those teams can play football, and then you go to Utah. I mean, not directly. You get North Carolina Central first, but Utah is on the road. Oregon State is on the road. You still have to go to Stanford, most likely a win, but still, I mean, we don't know. You go on the road to USC. Like, those are some tough games for UCLA.
Did the Bud Light marketing team come up with that schedule?
I don't know. I don't know, but I also like the under for Oregon at 9.5. So you'd have to go 10-2. And here's why. Now, I like Dan Lanning, and I expect them to take a step forward, but 9-3 in the regular season a year ago. Texas Tech week 2 on the road at Lubbock.
I'm leaning Texas Tech.
We just had Coach McGuire.
And not just because of that. I'm telling you, I'm leaning Texas Tech in that one.
But let's just say they win that one, right? And they beat Portland State and Hawaii and Colorado, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just say Oregon starts 5-0. Then you go on the road to Washington. You're going to go on the road to Utah. You're going to have Southern California you have to play, even though it's at home, and Oregon State at home. You played them on the road and lost a year ago. You have to go 10-2 in that schedule and not 9-3 for that over to hit.
They play all the big dogs.
So you're thinking it's really going to come down to that Texas Tech game, you would think. Because, I mean, even if they lost to...
If you lost to Utah on the road
and USC
and you lost to,
Washington.
I mean, they could beat Texas Tech on the road, start 5-0, and still lose to Washington, USC, and Utah, and have a great 9-3 season.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
No, I could see it. I could see it. That Oregon State game at the end either. Don't forget about that.
I'm not. They lost.
You never
a
know.
year
Yeah,
ago.
you never know.
Well, that game last year was nuts.
That would have
Remember,
gotten them to 10-2 a year ago.
Oregon got up on them, then Oregon State just started running it down their throat, and it worked, which absolutely blew my mind with the Dan Lanning coach team, even though I know it's year one. But they had to take care of business early. That's big. You go get that Texas Tech win. That gives you a lot of momentum because I think Texas Tech may make a run at this thing in the Big 12, to be honest with you. But
if you get that and you go on the road to Washington and win, before you start getting to Utah and Southern California, you're going to be feeling really good if you're an Oregon.
For sure, 100%.
hey, everybody, thank you guys for checking us out. If you just saw us on a breakout or you don't know a lot about us, we are the sports show for the Daily Wire. We go weekdays, 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern. Got a live chat, live call-ins. We cover every sport the way that you're used to it being covered, mainly about sports. So make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and turn that notification bell on as well.